had the Parks and Recreation programs for Prince George's County. Excuse me, national award-winning programs. And you need to know this because this county is a not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but a 6-time National Gold Medal award-winning Parks and Recreation right here in Prince George's County. So don't let them diss us out here. Don't let anybody diss you because nobody in the whole universe holds that record. And we broke record number, the 5th National Gold Medal, which was, excuse me, ours. So we broke our own record. Okay, so let's go ahead.
I haven't seen him.
That is because of not only fabulous staff that we have here, an amazing team, but it is also because of the community. It takes teamwork to make things like this happen. So we thank everybody. Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. So it is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to one of our premier Black History Month programs today. Now this is our Black History Month program booklet. It has a lot of interesting exhibits and whatnot that you will see, one of which is World War I and the African American experience, which is right down the road at Harmony Hall in Fort Washington. But it is amazing. But this will really blow your mind when you see everything. But speaking of blowing your mind, the exhibit that you're about to see in there will truly blow your mind. And it is an exhibit honoring an iconic human being, the one and only phenomenal GREgory. Did so much and touched so many lives in so many ways that it's really incredible. Unless you forget, when you go in there, you will be reminded of everything, or not everything, but almost everything that he did, because you couldn't even capture everything. First of all, he used comedy, and he was funny, but he used comedy to address racism in the United States and across the world. And that was his way of shining a light on it without being offensive, but to make people aware, acutely aware of what was going on in the country. He was a staunch civil rights activist from birth on, okay? He was a nutritionist, and if you really followed his diet, which clearly I should have been doing, you would have lived a very healthy lifestyle with his Bahamian diet, and he was an avid nutritionist. He ran for president of the United States of America. At the top of the ballot was Nixon and Agnew. And he was down here now. Let me just say. We would probably have a very different country had those election results been different. Okay?
No,
too bad. Just saying. But this was an iconic man. I mean, not only, I talked about the United States, but internationally, going to Iran, going to everywhere to negotiate release of hostages, to make peace all over the world. I mean, he touched so many people, and he touched our hearts, and he helped change lives all over America and all over the world. So we are really deeply indebted to him, and let's not forget. Make sure, I'm looking at a lot of adults here, hi, and very few children. How are you? Good. But what we have an obligation to do is to pass this information on to our children and never, ever let them forget from whence we came and who is important, who paved the way for them so that they can pass it on to their children, to their children, to their children. Now, I'm going to, there are a couple of people I want to introduce. First of all, can someone get Miss Juanita to the back here because she's trying to be incognito. Now, come on up here. While she's walking up here, we have a number of people, but the facility manager here at Oxon Hill Manor, and this was her brainchild to put this exhibit together. And this is Juanita Moore-Apita, who did a phenomenal job. Take a look at her. Remember her? After you see this exhibit, you say, thank you, Juanita. She nailed it. I also want to take a moment to introduce the GREgory family. And I'm starting because next to an iconic man like that is an awesome, dynamic woman. I don't mean behind every man, I mean next to.
Right.
Thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude too, because all that time when your husband was out there saving the world, that meant time away from the family to some extent. So we thank you for sharing him. Some people belong to more than just one person, and his 10 or 11 kids. Clearly you had him for a good while. I also want to take a moment to recognize the family. We have his children here and grandchildren here, so if they could please be recognized.
Yo, yo, yo. Excellent, right on. All right. She her own person. Wow.
I also want to take a moment before we I do one or two more things. I want to acknowledge, I know we have our Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, Debbie Tyner here. Debbie? For Arts and Cultural Heritage, Tara Eggleston Stewart. She's still a newlywed, I'm still working on it. The head of our Black History Month program, Dr. Dennis Doster back there. Park and Planning Commission and the Department of Parks and Recreation. So Gina back there, are you listening? All the commission folks and Parks and Rec folks, wave your hands in the air. We also have Dick Gregory's attorney, who I knew well before she ever became an attorney. My lips are sealed. Rosalind Ray. I want to introduce Rock Newman, because Rock Newman paved the way. He's an awesome guy. I know you're listening to him, you're watching him on TV, but he made the entree for us and provided us the entree with the family, and we are indebted to him, because without him and the introduction to the family, we wouldn't have this wonderful exhibit. So Rock,
Rocky.
So without further ado, I thank you very, very much for coming, and I'm going to bring Johanse up here to represent the family and say a few words, okay? So, this is the GREgory family here. I just did the introduction, so we're going to show them some love up in here.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
We are celebrating, and remember, they still hurt. He only died 6 months ago, okay?
Wow.
So show them some love up here.
Hey, Johanse, just before you start, everybody in here, is Betty the bomb or what?
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Thank you.
Okay, Johanse, you are on. Show them some love, everyone.
Yeah!
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing today?
Yeah, great, great.
You know, I would not be honoring my father if before I spoke, I did not myself honor and pay tribute to all of those who made this happen. For any of you who've ever been to a Dick Gregory lecture or comedy show, you know he would say, before I begin, thank those hands and those faces that made this possible, who we will never see or never know. And obviously, we cannot honor our father and his legacy without honoring how he lived his life. So first and foremost, I join Betty in thanking Juanita for making this happen. You know, as somebody who was raised as the footsteps of history, we so often only get history in school in the footnotes version or the Cliff Notes version, right? This does not happen, and things like this do not happen without somebody like Juanita.
Yeah.
So those things that we often take for granted because they're there and they have been there, without the hard work, dedication of her over these weeks and if not months leading up to this, we would not have the opportunity to experience this incredible tribute to our father, which we've had the opportunity to see, which truly encompasses aspects of his life and images that we ourselves had never seen before. But also this opportunity to share with you. And with that, you know, and I say this as a proud Prince George's County resident myself, and as a proud HU, my nephew's applying, he didn't know about all that. We do here. So as a proud HU alum, I give incredible thanks to the county executive, Mr. Rashawn Baker. You know, in addition to supporting this initiative, for who here was at my father's homegoing service? Okay. That would have not been possible without the tremendous support of Prince George's County and the office of the county executive. Many of the individuals who work directly with us are either here or are coming. So again, I thank all of those hands that were involved in making this possible. Growing up as the militant revolutionary that my father raised me to be, I used to despise Black history. And it was because I said, wait a minute, what? You know, knowing all that who we are and who we were, you know, we have my dad's latest book in the back called Defining Moments in History, Black History, Reading Between the Lines. And if you'll notice, the black on it, if somebody can hold it, a copy of it up real quick. If you'll notice where it says Defining Moments of Black History, black is crossed out. Why? Because there is no history without us. We are both the alpha and the omega. Not only from our inception and the inception of humanity, but through everywhere where the human tentacles reached out and touched. And he makes that clear in the beginning of the book. But so often, when it comes to celebrating us, we're a footnote. Talk about Howard. Howard's what? HBCU. When we have a college, it has to be designated a black college. Even though Howard and like so many other HBCUs educate more people from more nations around the country than most predominantly white institutions. Black church, black Jesus, a black movement, Black Panther right now, a black movement. And so for me, my history, our history, was not a footnote. But, like my father did so many times, of putting my youthful exuberance in place, he let me know that actually Black History Month started as Black History Week by none other than who? Carter G. Woodson, one of those individuals, literary scholars, who showed us I stood upon. And it didn't start off in February, it was actually moved to February to honor Dr. Woodson because his birthday is in the month of February. So, just like my dad has always done for all of us here, but for me on a regular basis, he turned my head all around and realizing that, you know, my resistance was actually me resisting a part of that which makes us great. So we're here to celebrate the history upon which we stand. And in particular, as we look and honor my father's life in this incredible exhibit, as you all move in, I want you to move in with the spirit of our ancestors. Our histories were told and transmitted through the voice of the griot. The griot wasn't just a book. The griot didn't just recite facts. It was a manner of truly transmitting every aspect of one culture, one-time existence onto the other. Anybody can read a book, but are you reading with the right inflection, with the right tone, with the right personality, with the right care and intonation? That's why the voice of the griot was so important, because he carried forward not just the information, but literally the context and the experience from one generation to the next. Thus, If you look all across the African continent, when we first came in contact with the outside world, we didn't have museums because African art were actual African artifacts. Why? Because they were a useful, used part of life. So as you move through this exhibit, if you move through just looking at facts and figures, if you don't use it as a tool for how you use your life moving forward, then it defeats the purpose. Understand that we all here share Dick Gregory's blood, but his legacy belongs to all of us. And if I ever didn't understand that and got it twisted, no, growing up, my father was in the house maybe 60 days out of the year. So as much as he shared with us, he shared with each and every one of you here. So for those of you who may have saw my father on TV, went to a lecture, went to a comedy show, or experienced one of his many hour-long conversations on the phone or on the street or in Whole Foods, wherever it was, all of it is our job. So please, as you move through, take tools. Take these tools with you to go back and ensure that the legacy of Dick Gregory lives on, and that that lives on through the work that each and every one of us do. I thank you all for being here. Enjoy.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't present my amazingly talented sister, Ayana Gregory, who will share some words and also will talk about her upcoming play, which is the most amazing tribute that any father could have from their child.
The first thing I'd like to do, even though she's already been acknowledged, is to let you know that the 84 years that my father was allowed to live and play out his life wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for William Gregory. He was quoted as saying, she's not just Dick Gregory's wife, she is Dick Gregory. This woman bore 11 children and raised 10. 7 girls and 3 boys, no days off. I repeat, 7 girls, 3 boys, no days off. Of the 10, I'd like to acknowledge those are here. The oldest, Michelle with the purple hat on. She's the oldest. The youngest, Johanse. Christian, Dr. Christian Gregory. Gregory, not Gregory, not Gregory. Miss, not Miss, but simply Miss Gregory. Paula Sanak. Paula's twin, who was named Pamela, who we changed her name to Satori, their middle names form together to form the word integration. It's Paula Integration. Paula Gration. So it's Pamela into Paula Gration forming integration.
Excellent.
And then we have the grandchildren. Just raise your hand. Zolani, Akoma, Olivia. Oh, it's Olivia Julian.
There, right there.
And so just for a moment, I'd like to, for those who don't know, this play is entitled Daughter of the Struggle. It is a tribute not just to my father, but to my mother, and it is also our story. through the eyes of the children, through the eyes of all of the children. And so I also want to acknowledge one of our other sisters, my father and my mother's goddaughter, Free. The tech director of this play. This play, for those who don't know, make sure you take a flyer with you. It's free. It's happening on Thursday. Rock Newman, you were one of the first voices to talk about this play. I so appreciate you for that. It's a story about our family's life. And it's at Harmony Hall. It's at 7:30 p.m. It's free. This is for everybody. So bring the children, bring students, bring aunties, uncles, bring everybody. It's free. The only thing you have to do is RSVP if possible, and all of that information is on the flyer. Again, it's this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm going to close by sharing my father's bio in song, if you don't mind. From hunger strikes to war on drugs, taking home the corporate thugs. You went to jail 1,000 times, exposing white supremacy crimes. From human rights to eating right, you led the world into the light. A universal God force. Information is your power source. Fire starter, innovator, peacekeeper, magic maker, actor, author, philosopher, comedian, warrior, soul survivor, golden son, freedom fighter, chosen one, living legend, the coolest yet. See, the world still ain't caught up with you yet. No, no. Black man with the keys in your hands. Oh, you opened up the way for a new day. Thank you, Daddy.
Yeah.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
We are about to go on inside and see the exhibit. I hope you enjoy it. I know you will. And then after you finish the exhibit, you're welcome to come out here where we have some food for you, so you can enjoy yourself and sit down. Okay? You all ready?
One other thing I forgot to mention, 2 of my father's books, his first book and his last book, are on sale here in the back, and members of the family will be available to sign copies of them.
Brother Nati, can you raise your hand? Thank you, brother.
There you go. And as I was doing introductions, I didn't see her. I see her now. We have representing the county executive for L. Baker III. We have Glenda Wilson, chief of staff in the back. Okay,
Can I just give one directional call? Okay, I'm with housekeeping. Okay, so when you go into the exhibit, you'll go in through the front lobby, and then the exhibit goes to your left, and you'll travel around, and you'll exit out the other door, so you don't get cluttered in the hallway trying to come back out. You'll exit out the other door, and you're welcome to walk around and come back to the tent for refreshments. There's restroom and ladies' room. When you walk out, you'll see them on your right-hand side. Okay? Thank you so much.